I knock out my wins with one loss, and I didn't know how to cut my losses. So understanding that psychology and risk management, I would tell myself, and I tell every trader now, everyone who asks questions, you're not going to go through what I went through because I don't want you to experience that.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another TFT interview. Today, I'm joined by Jalen from Florida. Welcome, Jalen.
Hello, thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you here. So, can you first tell us a little bit about yourself and what got you into trading?
So for y'all know, I am Jalen Bertrand, and I'm 23 years old, and I've been trading for about 5 years. So when I first went to college, somebody told me about it, and I was like, okay, kind of learned a little bit about it. Then I ended up stopping because I didn't really know much. And then as time went throughout the years, I started learning different things. And then like, oh wow, like I had my first $5 day and $10 day. And I was like, okay, well, I see this works. Went through, a lot of highs, a lot of lows. But I'd say this is the year where now I'm seeing the actual highs, like the money that I've seen people make, heard people make. And yeah, I just graduated college. So now I'm really traveling and just trading, enjoying my life.
Wow, that's amazing. And you started so young. Like, why did trading appeal to you initially?
I actually used to, my senior year in high school, I wrote a 10-page paper on how sneakers relate to the stock market. So how the price fluctuates and everything. And I didn't know about pretty much the foreign exchange market or indices. Then once I got introduced to it, I seen how they correlate. So then once I understood that, and I know that I want to live an above average lifestyle. Then that kind of, once I started to see and meet people who are doing what I want to do, and I realized that it is possible, that's kind of how I really turned to it and then just kept going and kept going. And now, yeah, I'm just blessed.
Wow. Wow. Can you tell us a little bit about the learning process? Like, did you learn everything by yourself? Did you have a mentor? What did you struggle with the most, and how did you overcome those struggles?
So I say first, I did have a mentor, or I had some, but we were trading. I would say we were trading. I remember spending plenty times looking at pretty much, you can go on Google and type in Forex patterns. So like looking up, the triangle pendants and all that and wondering why am I losing and stuff like that. And I was doing that for years, but that was just because I didn't know any better. I'm just thinking, oh, it's me.
Yeah.
Then as time went, I started to get in circles with different people in smaller circles. So circles who were people who trade full time, making six figures, having $1,000 days. And then I started to learn kind of smaller and different things, which then pivoted to I started learning about ICT. So I started just listening to trading podcasts because I was like, if these people are doing it, it has to work. Now I'm driving DoorDash, I'm broke. So like if it has to work. Then ended up learning about ICT and then getting in another circle with people who trade ICT and study him. And it just kind of, the circles got smaller, people who were more dedicated.
Yeah.
And then I started to really just dive full in, like, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to make my first six figures, my first $1 million. And then now it's actually coming to fruition. It's actually happening.
Did you have a time limit on how long time it should take you to reach those levels? And how did you find, because I'm an ICT trader myself, and I know that ICT has so much content out there. How did you how did you find your specific model? Did you have like time limits on your goals that you wanted to reach?
So I never really had, I'll say, like, how we have a stop loss. I never had a hard stop. I'm going to give myself this amount of time because everybody's journey is different.
Yeah.
So I never, whether it took me 7 years, 8 years, like how when I listen to the podcast, people say it took them 6, 7, 8 years. I was only a year about like 2, 3. So I was like, oh, wow. Like if they stuck through it and now they're living the life they want to live. I was just like, I had the 2016, I had the 12-month course. So I was like, hey, you know what? It works. I know this works. I'm seeing somebody make thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
So I never set a time limit just because you never know when it's going to pop off.
And in terms of, and I totally, it's a really good thing because if I believe that if you started putting deadlines, it would have taken you much longer because you would have forced things and this is messing up with the psychology. When it comes to the model that you are currently using, did you like try different concepts and then you put your model according to the concepts that work the best for you? or did you got it from another trader? How did you
Mhm.
define your own model, your own edge?
So I pretty much started with so as I was going through the mentorship, seeing what I liked. So at first it was order blocks, but
Mm-hmm.
then I started to run into problems like, okay, which order block do you take? But
Mm-hmm.
then I realized I just need to do more studying. But then as I did that, I realized I started the 2022 mentorship and I realized fair value gaps was my thing.
Okay.
And it would just seem like it just changed the game for me because took a break from actually trading live. And
Mm-hmm.
then once I'm watching the fair value gaps, back testing, I'm seeing like this is working. And
Mm-hmm.
I actually, used it and I was like, wow, okay, well, this works. Then I started to use the silver bullet. So that kind of brought it down even more to a specific system, like the time I'm trading, the exact fair value gap I'm looking for, where liquidity is, and
Mm-hmm.
certain things like that. So it really just brought it back to that the silver bullet model, but then like adding in the 2022 mentorship. Like, okay, adding. I remember how you said you're a perfectionist. So some little things, if it's not like perfect, I'll give it some leeway. But
Mm-hmm.
more times than less, I like to stick with that, those specific time frames, that much risk, it kind of continue it. And once I did that, I've been seeing more success.
Yeah. So you found consistency with one thing and you've been following it for a longer time. Is there anything that you wish you did differently or you did earlier in your journey that would have made the whole journey easier and smoother?
I would say so. First, I would say I'm glad I didn't change anything. I would say that though, if I could go back, I
Mm-hmm.
would start learning ICT concepts out the gate. And it's just the reason why is because you're understanding the algorithm. You're not relying on an indicator. You're understanding firsthand this is how it works. And I've been learning ICT for about 2 years. This is the second year is when it's really starting to click. But if I would have, had 5 years to only focus on that and not, learn the retail concepts and the have 15,000 stuff on your chart, I
Mm-hmm.
think I would be a lot further. But I'm glad though I went through the trials and tribulations, the blown accounts back then, because if I didn't, I wouldn't know how to handle what I have now.
No one can give you the experience. You can just go through things and get the experience, and every experience is definitely teaching us a lesson. So what was the thing that you struggled with the most? Was it to find the strategy and model that suits your personality? Was it psychology? What were the things that you struggled with the most?
I would say psychology and risk management.
Mm.
That was my biggest problem because when ICT would say 1% back then, in like years, I don't say years ago, like a year ago, year and some change,
Mm.
1% is outrageous. Like 1%, that is nothing. Why would I risk 1%? I need to risk about 10, 5%. I need to be putting something down for real. And then as I started to learn more and more and more and become more open to like prop firms, I learned that, wait a minute, 1% can be a lot. And then I got to the point where when I was trading prop firms, I was scared if I risked 1%. So that was my problem. And then I had to start learning the psychology side is looking at things as percentages rather than actual like money. Because when I'm doing the challenges, for instance, like the 400K challenge, 32,000. In my head, when I hear 32,000, oh my gosh, that's a lot of money. But when I think about it, oh, that's just 8%. I've made more than that in a day before. So why not think of it like that? And then that kind of changed my mindset to now I don't get stuck on if I'm down 2%. Because then if I'm down 8,000, because 8,000, oh my gosh, 2%, that's nothing. So now those are my biggest problems. And once I did that, because I knew all the information, I knew the knowledge, but it
You
wasn't
wasn't
clicking with
implement.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't. And that's one thing that I'll say what that I went back and did is risk management. I really focused on that.
And how did you work on your psychology?
I'll say one book that I read was Trading in the Zone. Even though he talks about a lot of retail stuff, but I don't really look at it for that sense. I look at it for the mindset side of it. And you kind of understanding that okay, there's probabilities. The probability of this happening, there's a chance you're gonna win. I've been on losing streaks, but then I've had one win that took out all of it. So understanding that you're gonna lose no matter what. But if I mitigate my loss and I know, all right, I'm only risking 1%, I'm only risking 0.5%. I know I shouldn't be scared when I enter this trade. I shouldn't be trying to exit early because this is what it is. I'm confident, and no matter what happens, I'm okay.
So, did you have to make like changes in your daily routine, in your daily life that helped you to work on your discipline, to work on your psychology? Or
Yes.
like, do you have a
Oh,
structured day, or you're not paying too much attention on other habits outside of trading?
oh yeah, now I have a schedule. So before
Hmm.
I didn't. I look at the charts at 8 p.m. and then I'm kind of looking at it off and on 8 p.m. to about 2, 3 a.m. I
Hmm.
wake up at like 7:30 and then I'm looking at the charts for most of the day and I realized like, okay, I need a system. Then I started to like dig down even deeper. And then I got introduced to the silver bullet, which
Hmm.
kind of made it specific times.
Hmm.
So now 3 to 4 a.m., 10 to 11, and 2 to 3. So now I'm like, okay, outside of those times, I am not looking at the charts because I know during that time when I'm outside of it, I need to be enjoying life. From being on the charts when I used to be all day to now where I can be on specific times and still make money.
Yeah.
That's how I say that's how I changed it to be away from the charts more and be
Mhm.
more like in the moment with people, enjoying traveling and such.
Yeah, because the reason why most of us start with trading is because of the freedom, and we don't want to be slaves on the
Yes.
charts.
Exactly.
Yeah. Would you like to share your screen and maybe show us an example of a trade and how you analyze the charts?
So this is so yeah, I was in Q last night
Mhm.
and I was looking at this for a little bit and I think even last week. But as I was looking at the chart, I like to go through the different time frames, of course, to see where do I think price is going to go. In this case, I'll just delete this. So what I noticed was right here, I seen the push down, push up, and then a large breakdown. Now on my chart on MT4, it showed a gap here. So in this area where happened to be, if I'm not mistaken, it's either a breaker or a mitigation. I get those confused all the time.
Yeah,
But
breaker block.
yeah, okay, so yeah, boom. So the breaker I seen was right here. So I just used this candle or this one, whichever one. But I see the move here, and especially there was a gap. So I know on that chart it's a gap. I want to see here. I ended up actually at first getting in a little early because I thought it was gonna just reject and go, but ended up
Mhm.
staying in here. And then as time went, and I see okay, drop down to a lower time frame. Then here's another little gap that ended up actually happening. So I knew, okay, it's gonna come back down here. So this short little high, that's still a short little high. Price came above it and rejected it. So then I went to a lower time frame because I wanted to see, okay, well, how is this really going to how is this going to react? And I see boom, and it breaks down. Go to a lower time frame. I go all the way to the 1 minute, maybe even the 15 seconds at sometimes. But that's the way how I end up getting the entries that I want.
I see that
Then
you have an
this is
extremely tight stop loss.
oh yeah, this was actually one of the best. This is one that I was in last night that ended up I was actually very happy about because this was a 7 point stop loss. So it ended up coming down and then this was the entry right here in this zone right here. It was the breakdown and then it came back up. Typically in this case though, like how I'd be looking for perfection. There wasn't a fair value gap in this area, but because I know that it was in the block, and then I'm seeing a breakdown. Sometimes I will miss an entry because I didn't get the fair value gap, but I realized my risk was very small. The conditions that we're in. Okay, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. It's around 2, 3. Things are lining up. I have very small risk. I don't even have to risk a full percent, and I can still get in this trade and be relatively and make a profit. And as we see how it ended up playing out. I'll just zoom out. But we see how it ended up playing out. I had an alert that was down here that where my intended target was for. So if I was able to put a full percent, because the margin doesn't let me always, then it would have been a 1 to 18. So pretty much ended up walking away with some nice profits.
Wow. And do you take partials, or do you move your stop loss, trail your stop loss with the structure? How do you manage your trade?
So usually I'll move my stop loss to break even, and I'll wait for a very large move. So essentially, this would be the move I was waiting for. But if I'm awake, I'll have certain areas where I know I won't want it to go past. So like for instance, I wouldn't want to see price go above this area right here because that is a fair value gap. So if I wanted to enter over here, this would have essentially been the entry if I didn't get one up here where I would have gotten in. But if I know if it would have gone higher and above this, then I already would have known that this trade right here is invalid. But even though it came here and then rejected, that kind of, even though you sweat a little bit when you see it's coming back. But typically, if I don't have a large position, Yeah, if I don't have a large position, like if I'm not trading my, like right now, I'm not trading my 400K account because I'm waiting for that payout.
Mhm, mhm,
So once that comes, then I'll be able to actually scale in and be like, okay, I have one here, have one here. But the smaller
mhm.
accounts, I kind of can't put too much, put a full percent or something like that on.
And you mentioned that you put your stop loss to break even. Do you take partials, or and how do you determine your target profit?
So I do take partials. And
Mhm.
by partials, when it hits maybe a low or a certain low that I'm looking for, I will typically either close the position or close most of it. But I'll
Okay.
close it because I see that it's gonna retrace. So a lot of the times when I know that, okay, I feel like I have a strong feeling, because you never know, but I have a
Mhm.
feeling it's gonna go the opposite way. I'll either close when I have a decent profit that I like, and then I'll end up re-entering that position. But since I've already secured profit, if I lose the trade, I'll lose only like very little amount of my actual profits. And typically I like to look for liquidity. So I
Mhm.
know sell side liquidity is down here. I set an alert right here because
Mhm.
this is just kind of, it's not really a major low, but I just set it here to tell me to look at the chart.
Yeah.
And as we see, it came down and boom, it rejected, or I'll just move this right here. And as we see, it rejected. So that's pretty much how I would target it. It
Mhm.
left the block, went away. If I didn't have an entry up here, I would have had an entry here. And this was the around the 9:30. So this was New York Open. So
Mhm.
this is another good another good
And
entry that could have been happening.
yeah, yeah. Do you scale
And
in sometimes or not?
not really. And the reason why I used to think about it, but now it's more so because I'm on the thought of, wow, okay, I entered a small position and I was
Mhm.
confident about it. And I should have just entered the full position right here. But I noticed with bigger accounts, because the spread and entering 20 lots on US30, it's gonna add slippage.
Mhm.
So and I kind of I learned that from doing that. And I was like, okay, well, you know what? Now I think I need to scale in. So now I'm actually going to implement that. And these are good problems to have. So now I'm going to kind of like change it up. So instead of dropping just straight 20 lots, I'll split it
Mhm.
up either to five. Typically, I'll do 10, but more than likely, I'll probably just go back to 10.
So you use like standard lots all the time.
Yes. A
Mhm.
lot of trades I don't like to enter unless I'm entering, like US30. I don't like to enter unless I'm using 20 lots. And
Okay.
the reason why is just because I like my trade, my risk to reward to be outstanding. If I do lose, all right, I did lose a little bit, but
Mhm.
I like to make sure I'm entering with that much, just because I can't put a whole percentage on, because my as we saw my in this one for NAS, it was a 7 point stop loss. So I know I can't put, a whole full percent on that due to leverage wise, which is okay. But I know for a fact though, I like to enter with the most confidence in the most amount.
Okay.
1% though, one to max.
So do you trade only Nasdaq or you trade other instruments as well?
So right now I mainly traded indices. I used to trade
Mhm.
everything, but now I'm starting to cut it down. So the past like probably month, I've been only trading indices. This morning was like the first day that I traded gold, and it
Mhm.
went well. So yeah, it ended up going well too. But I think for my smaller accounts, since the leverage, I can't risk a full percent on certain things. So that's why I'm kind of venturing out to maybe gold and GJ. But those are really the main things that I trade is Nasdaq and US30.
Okay, so you like volatile instruments.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Would you say that trading changed you as a person, and how did it change you as a person?
I 100% agree. It changed me as a person. And the reason why is because you can tell, I want to say a lot, but you can tell a decent amount, a little bit about how a person trades.
Mhm.
And I say that because you can tell if someone's struggling with risk management, all right, then their discipline might not be that well. And that was me. I was struggling with risk management. I was trying all these different strategies because I didn't want to commit to one. I didn't want to always stick to a certain time frame in the chart, because when I look at the chart, there's always an opportunity. So I had to take a step back and kind of move back from that FOMO, fear of missing out, because there's always an opportunity. So I just need to make sure that I'm looking at the highest probability and making sure I'm executing, which translated into life. Whenever I'm doing something, don't be scared. If I'm going to do it and I say I'm ready for it, just do it. The worst thing that's going to happen is I lose. But that's the purpose, That's the whole goal is you want to, how many losses can I get through? So when I win very big. And then at a certain time, it's going to switch. Now my wins are just so much bigger than my losses that what I lose, it's like, Okay. I'll just take
Yeah.
that to the chin.
So for you, it doesn't, you pay more attention to risk to reward than to the win rate.
Absolutely. I think my win rate for my first challenge was like a 20 something percent. Like it was, yeah, it was like 20, 30%. Now my win rate is like last month of August, my win rate was a lot better. I don't know the percentage because I never looked.
Mhm.
But it was, yeah, my win rate doesn't matter to me because when I'm making so much money, if I lose 10 trades in a row and I make one trade that makes me 10 times, 15, 16 times of what I just lost, I'm not going to be mad. I trade to make money. I don't
Yeah.
trade to be right. I trade to make money.
Yeah. So, what is the most memorable moment in your trading journey, and what are the failures that you cherish the most?
I say my most it is I'll say it was a while ago. I'll say the most memorable was I remember this was like during COVID. I was in
Mhm.
class. It was S&P 500. I remember it to this day. And it was on Zoom. So I had my first $300 day at the time. Now to me back then, trading, I was probably like $150 account. I made $300. I remember on Zoom, my classmates were recording me on Zoom dancing in my room because I didn't know I didn't even matter. And they're like, Jayla, are you okay? That was my most memorable day because that day I called my homeboy. I said, hey, I'm going to LA next week. Imagine I only made $300 at the time. So
Mhm.
what was I possibly going to do with it? But that was the day where I was like, wow, I just made $300 for my phone. And I'd say the most memorable or losing time
Yeah.
was I took a 200K challenge. I took two
Mhm.
actually. And the first one, I failed in the verification, which
Mhm.
kind of hurt because I was like, if I just made this and I failed the verification, but I was like, you know what? I'm good. Then the second time I took it, I failed the funded portion. And I was like, oh my gosh, Shayla, what are you doing? Like, how is this happening? So for that short time, like, I really felt I don't let myself be down too long. I'll let myself feel it, experience
Mhm.
it, but I know I have better. And that kind of really, like, it hurt a little bit. The fact that I failed two in a row.
Yeah.
And that was before, like, I actually started to pass challenges kind of on the normal. But that happened. Then I was like, I'm taking a 400K challenge because I thought
Mhm.
about it. I thought what I did wrong, the psychology, took the challenge, passed it. And now I have my biggest payout that's soon to come.
That's amazing. Congratulations. And
Thank you.
what would you say? Would you say that there was an eye-opening moment for you when everything kind of like clicked, or it just came with time and experience?
I would say it was an eye-opening moment because I remember my mentor. So it's like he just became my mentor, and this
Mhm.
wasn't for trading. This was for something else. He was like, "Well, do you make money trading?" And I was like, "Hey," because nobody wants to say they don't make money trading, and they've been trading for years. I was
Mhm.
like, "Yeah, not really." He was like, "Okay, well, you will need to make money first, and then when you trade, and when you're trading like you don't need the money, that's when you trade." And that was like I'll say I kind of understood it, but I didn't. And then once I was like, you know what, let me buy my first 50K account. And I was trading and I was like, wow, like I'm not trading because I don't know if I'm gonna eat tomorrow. Because I had situations like that when I was in college where I wasn't eating every day. So I'm trading and I'm like, I need this to hit so I can eat or I can do this. And that
Mhm.
kind of messed me up. But once I switched it and I was like, you know what? Let's take a break. Let's study. ICT studied him even more. And
Yeah.
then I got to the point where when I'm trading, you know what? I'm calm. I'm relaxed. That I'll say that's what really made the difference. My mindset, I looked at the charts differently. I wasn't stressing all the time. I wasn't sweating when I was in the trade.
Yeah. So, what is the plan moving forward? Where do you see yourself in like 3 to 5 years from now?
So 3 to 5 years from now, I plan on having honestly, I plan on managing 3 to 5 years. I plan on managing over $3 million in capital. I
Mhm.
can't wait till the funded trader. I pray that they raise their capital that you're allowed to manage because I will buy a challenge tomorrow, today. But I plan on managing that much capital, really just traveling and enjoying. Like I love to give money away. I love to give back. I love
Mhm.
to that's really what I love and I really enjoy it is I like to make money so I can give it to people. I like to go in restaurants and say, hey, I'm gonna just pay for the person behind me. Don't tell them I paid for them though. And then I
Mhm.
go sit down and eat and I just look and then they have a smile on their face. And that's really where I see myself just being more of a giver. The more
Mhm.
I make, the more I want to give. 3 years, I know I'm gonna have millions. I'm gonna have multi-millions. So money won't be a problem. I'll be able to take care of my family and just enjoy life and not have to think about money, where food's coming from, or anything like that.
That's really nice of you that you want to be a giver, because I believe that we believe in TFT that when you give is when you receive, and vice versa. So it's a really nice goal that you have. Do you have like any specific future goals, like a final goal that you want to achieve, and what is that goal?
I know it's probably a very weird number, but 12 million.
Okay, so
And
you
the
have
reason
specific
why,
numbers in your head.
oh yeah. So 12 million. So like, I have a couple bills. Like I have a dollar bill that is $1 million bill. I have a dollar bill that's $100,000 bill, and I have a $12 million bill. And I have these because I got them, actually made them, wrote with a Sharpie, because when I was broke. So I'd have it on my mirror and I'd look at it every day and be like, this is it. On my screensaver, I'm actually gonna show, maybe you can see it. This is a high rise, like a high rise that my mentor used to live in. And I always said, you know what? I want to live in a high rise. And now I'm moving into a high rise next month. So
Wow.
those specific things like 12 million, obviously I know I'm gonna make way more than that. But I know that 12 million, that $1 million mark, 500,000, the $1 million mark, $12 million mark, those are all gonna be ones where I was like, wow, like I remember these are, I'm still gonna have the dollar bill, or my bad, the $1 million bill, $12 million bill. I'm still gonna have those and look at them and be like, wow, you had this before you had it.
So I can see two things. You are visualizing what you want to achieve, and you believe in yourself you believed in yourself from the beginning, and you don't doubt yourself. Did you have moments when you doubted yourself and you hesitated and you wanted to give up?
Absolutely, because my parents, they're traditional. So they're go to school, go to college, graduate, work a job. So for years they're hearing me say, "Oh, I'm trading and stuff." They don't know anything about it. My dad works in a bank. He doesn't necessarily know about the foreign exchange market like that. So I'm telling them my goals, like, "Oh, I want to make X amount in this many months. I want to do this, and that." They're kind of, I want to say they were discouraging me, but it's kind of, you introduce something to somebody they never heard before, especially if my dad works in a bank and their percentages, you don't hear a 10, 15, 20% return. It kind of discouraged me a little bit. So, and then my friend, or I'll say certain friends, they would like talk about me, talk trash to me, like, "Oh, that Forex stuff, that's a scam, that's fake," and stuff like that. So, and then when especially me looking at it, I'd have times where I would make money, nowhere near to what I was making now, but I'd make a couple $100, and then I might have a time where I would lose it. So it kind of was like, all right, like I remember I blew my first $1,000 account. I funded it with 1,000. I was up 1,000 in Bitcoin, and I was so sidetracked. Like, it's still gonna go up. It's still gonna go up, and blew it. Those moments were like one of those, like, am I really doing this? Like, is this really for me? And I wanted to quit, but those are the things that if you feel like you want to quit, those are the things you should be doing. So I just stayed. I continued to do it. I learned. I said, okay, what did I do wrong? Learn from my lessons. After that, I didn't blow that. Well, I ain't gonna lie. I did blow another. I did blow another one later on. But it was just one of the things, like, all right, I know what I'm doing. I'm understanding. And now I'm getting closer to that goal. And I always tell myself, if I would have listened to what everybody said back then, I wouldn't be in the positions I'm at now. I wouldn't have the days what people make in a year.
Yeah, definitely. What would you tell to yourself as an advice if you were about to start now with all the experience and knowledge that you have?
I would tell myself, understand risk management and psychology, and two, ICT. But the risk management and psychology is honestly the main thing. I've been I cheated myself out of so many trades that I could have made more money on, just because I thought that my thought process, I didn't trust myself. Or I don't say I didn't trust myself, I didn't trust the trade. That was just my main thing. And then risk management, if I risk 1% every time and I'm hitting a 1 to 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, okay, I'm making money. But if I'm risking 5% one trade and then 1% another, and I win the 1%, but I lose the 5, then it's kind of all over the place. And that's what I used to do back then. I knock out my wins with one loss, and I didn't know how to cut my losses. So understanding that psychology and risk management, I would tell myself, and I tell every trader now, everyone who asks questions, you're not going to go through what I went through, because I don't want you to experience that.
Any last words that you would like to share with us?
All I would say is just don't give up. I know it's cliche. We always hear don't give up. But I feel like now I'm to the point where I'm somebody that can say, like, I am a living example. From being in college, from not eating every day, from having your parents say, "Oh, or you should get a job," just being in the different places and where I've been, and I'm only 23. So understanding that if you don't give up and you just keep going, I went to college at 17, started trading at 18. And now I'm seeing the breakthrough that I'm seeing. So just don't give up. Keep studying. Don't listen to the haters, because I promise you, when you make what they make in a year, And don't say that. I don't brag. I'll never tell somebody, oh, I make more than you make in a year. But once you make it and you in your psychology, you're like, I'm glad I didn't quit. Pray, thank you, Jesus, and keep it pushing and go help the next person.
It's so incredible to see that you're so young and you started like when many people would just think like, oh, let me go out party, let me do other things. But it's really amazing to see and incredible to see how young you are and everything that you have achieved. I'm super excited to see how everything is going to proceed in the future. I hope to see you in another interview to have a follow-up to check on your progress. And until then, trade safe. Wish you best of luck with everything.
Thank you.
And to all of you watching, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and show us some love in the comments down below. Trade safe, and until next time.